Great. Hello, and welcome to tonight's episode of History Behind the Page, the live series where you get to know more about the people behind all things history. Tonight is a special episode because it is the 1 year anniversary of me starting this live series, and tonight's guest is my first guest on History Behind the Page, and that is JD from the History Underground. So I'm super excited to have him back on. I will always say super excited. I'm sorry, I will be that super excited history chick. So very excited to have JD back on. We're gonna chat about what's going on, about history, and everything in between. So we will get him on in a second. This is a live Q&A, so you are more than welcome to ask questions. I do ask that if you want to ask a question, there is a question mark bubble on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Please submit your questions there, as sometimes they get lost in the comments, and we want to make sure that we get, everybody's questions answered. Thank you, Chris. I love my bookshelf too. I'm very proud of it. I'm happy I can have it as a background now instead of my old bedroom with my roommates in the old house. But all right, let's get JD on and get this fun time rolling. Thank you, History Hand, for 1 year. Hey, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Doing good. How about you?
Are you in your car?
Yeah. So here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
I live in the woods, and the signal or the internet strength at my house is pretty poor. So I found that on live things like this, people will say that the signal cuts or it doesn't do as well. So yeah, until Elon Musk gets some satellites above my head, I'm just now. So if you hear some road noise
It's
or
totally
something
fine.
like that,
It's
I
funny how
apologize.
our 5G works better than our Wi-Fi. Like that was my thing last week. My
Yeah, well,
Wi-Fi kept going in and out, and I'm like, dude, I pay a lot of money for high-speed Wi-Fi, and this is ridiculous.
yeah, it's not an option where I live, and I don't get cell signal at my house either. So
Thank you so much for
yeah,
coming back on and being here.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Happy anniversary. And I love I saw Chris comment on your bookshelf. I
Thank
love the
you.
way
I'm
that
very
looks. That is
proud of it. I
awesome.
went from that tiny, you guys have seen the reels. I went from that tiny little bookshelf in my room to two gigantic Billy bookcases from IKEA. And so, yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. So,
Yeah, yeah. I just have stacks of books by my bed and in the
yeah,
corner in my
I
office
had
and
that too
stuff
for the
like that.
longest time because I didn't have any room on that tiny little shelf, because I lived with roommates, and I had these bookshelves actually in the living room, but they were for decor, and they didn't want to see my World
Yeah,
War II books and all that stuff. So I was just like, okay, decor. Now it's all mine, so I can do whatever I want with it. But when I was packing, I was
yeah,
pulling books out from the side of my bed, under my bed, my closet. I was like, oh well, look at this. But yeah.
yeah.
So, well, thank you again so much for coming on, and thank you so much for being my first guest on History Behind the Page. This definitely went a direction I didn't think it was going to go, and the one person I was like, my first guest needs to be JD, because actually you got me back into history. You and Chris from Blogging Through History, actually.
Oh,
I don't think I've told you
no.
this story, but when I was at my old job, I had two computer monitors, and I had absolutely no idea there was a whole history traveling world on YouTube. And I was watching Mark Felton videos, and one of your
Uh-huh.
videos popped up on the side being like, something you might like. And I don't know what they call it, but the Instagram image, that you put on the video,
Uh,
the thumbnail, yeah,
Thumbnail.
it totally was
Yeah.
my style, and I was like, I need to watch this. And so I think it was something Band of Brothers related, and so I clicked on it and I watched
Okay.
that. And then the next episode, I kept watching videos, and the next one I watched was you and your wife were on a ship or something, and you guys were talking through the intercom systems. I mean,
Oh yeah.
This was like 3 years ago
Yeah.
or some, this was a while ago, but
Um, do you remember? I think that was on the USS Hazard. It
you
was a
guys were like
minesweeper.
talking and you were asking her to like say things down, and yeah, it was such a like
Yeah.
thing. And then Chris from Blogging Through History, his videos came up, and then I was just like, there's a whole world of history nerds out there that I had no idea about. So like, thank you, because also you've inspired other people like James from Project Past and Alec from Hunt Stash History and like all these things. So thank you from one history nerd to another for doing what you do. So yeah.
Thank you. Um, I couldn't do what you do. Finding these people and having these conversations and stuff like
I'm a
that.
total creep. I'm just
Yeah. So I
every single person I have on my lives or whatever, I just like sneakily go in their DMs and I'm like, hi, my name's Sarah. I'm a history nerd, and this is this is what I do. Do you want to be on my show?
yeah. Yeah, the stuff like what you and Paul Woodage do, talking to people and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think you guys do
I mean,
an
you've done
incredible
a lot of
job.
work with Paul,
So.
right? You guys
Mhm.
didn't you guys just come
Yeah.
back from like a little thing together?
No. So I was
Uh-huh.
in Germany, and but I was there with
Okay.
Eric Dorr. I wasn't there with Paul. And Paul doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to reach out to him and see about getting together this summer
Yeah.
to do some more work
He's
together. He's actually coming to the U.S. in late March and is going to be speaking at some sort of military
that's
conference out in
awesome.
California. But I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
gone during that period of time, so I'm pretty bummed to see him. But
he's super awesome. He was so fun to have on. That guy is so knowledgeable, and so are you. Like, so if a lot of people don't know your background, you're a history teacher. So how long have you been doing history for?
So as far as the teaching goes, 21 years. Yeah. I started very young. I honestly, when I started teaching, I was still in college. I hadn't graduated college yet, so I wasn't too much older than my students when I started out. So yeah, been at it for a while. But you're not current. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And that's
go ahead.
Huh? That's why I originally started. Was to provide like a resource for teachers and to just have some extra stuff in the classroom. Vlogging through history. Man, you're old. And I know somebody who's older by a couple years.
That's great. So because I think what you said before is that your students kind of got you into doing the YouTube thing.
Yeah So prior to having the YouTube thing, I co-produced a hunting show on TV with a guy up in Iowa, and was on Sportsman's Channel. We ran that for 6 seasons, so I had like the background and video editing and things like that, and then just kind of transferred that over by complete accident. I just put something together one day, in a museum that I was in, and showed the students, and they were, encouraged me to start putting stuff on YouTube. So yeah, and then it kind of took off and went a little beyond. So that was kind of, I
think, maybe like the earlier years of YouTube. When did you start your channel? 2019. Oh, 2019. It's only been 2019.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my first video that I posted was Memorial Day of 2019. So this was
right before COVID. Oh, that's
yes.
How many history people started their page because of COVID or right before COVID is very interesting and awesome, because it gave a bunch of history nerds. Some people don't like me calling them history nerds, so history professional or whatever. We are history nerds.
That's what we are.
Gave them this opportunity to actually like do that. So you started posting because a little nudge from your students, and then how did it just like keep going?
So I anytime that I I dive into something, I try and be fairly disciplined with it and like set a pace for myself. So originally I thought, okay, I'll do like one video a week and show here, there, and yon, different places that I go. I would take on vacation and make something work, or if I was on a work trip, bring it with me then. And then so that went into 2020, and then everything started kind of shutting down and everything like that. Where the channel really took off was in the spring of 2020. I got named as a YouTube creator on the rise, which I got an email from YouTube saying that I was creator on the rise, and I didn't know what the heck that was. I thought, oh, okay, nice of them. And then I got put on the trending page, and the channel just kind of blew up from there. And then, things have just kind of steadily grown, and, I've made connections with different people and keep having new doors open up. And yeah, it's kind of exciting because the main thing that excites me is seeing how into history people are, and, saying that they, have learned new things from watching the channel, which I'm learning right along with everybody. So, I'm not a Paul Woodage. I don't know as much as he does. A lot of this me learning too.
So how do you pick like where you go, like what you want to do? Is it something you're just like, I want to go on vacation there and go visit this museum or whatever? Or is it just kind of like an opportunity presents itself? Or
I'm kind of a naturally curious person. I find interest in anything. So it's really just kind of what strikes my interest. Now, if you were to just take a browse through my channel now, it seems like the only thing I'm interested in is Civil War and World War II. I've got some plans this year of branching out, and because I've kind of gotten to a little bit of a rut there, and I want to make sure that I kind of have a broad base of content on the. But there's a museum that I'm familiar with. It's a vacuum cleaner museum, and I was like, dang, I would like to go check that out. That looks interesting to me. So anything
I've
like
heard
that.
of that museum. I think is it in the Midwest? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's
yep.
kind of where a vacuum cleaner museum might be. But no, that's
yeah, just like you would expect.
That's so great. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I would love to do like an old 66 series one day, go up to Chicago and start there and travel the whole thing. I know other people that do it with a little bit of a history spin too.
So you have been pumping out content like crazy. I cannot keep up with it. It's like every day there's a brand new World War II series out. Tell us a little bit about like that whole experience and what you had to do to get that footage and everything.
So the current series that we're running right now is in from a trip that took to Germany last October is when we were there, and then I ended up going back to get some stuff that I didn't get on the first trip. But anyway, so that was working a lot with Eric Dorr from Gettysburg Museum of History. He's got a lot of contacts out there. So really that whole trip was his idea. And he, basically just pitched the idea to me and said, hey, what would you think about going to Munich? And then we'll go down to Berchtesgaden. We'll go down into Austria to, Cape Prune and Zell am See, some places that are associated with Band of Brothers. Because, his museum has the largest collection of like Band of Brothers, Easy Company material of any place in the world. He's got the most. So anyway, he said, what would you think about doing that? And I was like,
yeah,
hey, I'm good for anything. So did quite a bit of reading, and I try and research stuff, and I spend just a stupid amount of time on the internet looking at maps and researching and reaching out to, other people who have been there, and asking them, hey, what do I need to look for? And then when I go on these trips, it's it's filming daylight to dark. I don't eat. It's constant, getting stuff, because I only have a limited amount of time to gather content. So so I have to make use of all the time that I have, and then in the evenings, everybody gets to relax, and JD is putting together all the footage from the day and getting things cataloged and getting batteries charged and getting stuff ready for the next day.
I didn't realize that trip was that far back. But I guess that takes a lot to, edit the footage and all that stuff. And then also you've been having a tough time on YouTube with your videos posting because they've been getting flagged for inappropriate material or whatever. What's been going on with that?
I had a feeling this was going to come up. Yeah, so there's been quite a bit of struggle with YouTube on this current series, and it's largely due to stuff that is related to Hitler and National Socialism, or the Nazis. And just to be clear, there's been some confusion on this with some of the stuff that I've posted online. There are a couple of different, I guess 3 different things that YouTube can do to a video that they find problematic. One is demonetize it. So what they'll do is basically remove it from the table for advertisers. So you can't generate any revenue off of it. Another thing that they can do is put an age restriction on it. An age restriction is the kiss of death. If you get an if you get an age restriction, what happens is they don't recommend the video. It won't pop up on search or anything like that. Really, the only way that somebody can find an age restricted video is if they go to your page and they're like scrolling through the videos and they're like, oh, okay, that looks interesting to me. And then the third thing they can do is just completely remove it. So I guess that's actually the kiss of death. So just to give you an example, like with an age restricted video, what that does, back in last fall, so Chris from Vlogging Through History and I, we went to Antietam, filmed a bunch of stuff there. We also met up with Gary Gallagher, who's with the American Battlefield Trust, also a super knowledgeable guy. But I filmed 2 episodes with him, and both of them, the first one got demonetized, the second one got demonetized and age restricted. But the second one was called Photographing the Dead at Antietam. And anyway, I just saw Chris say Edelman. I did say Gary Edelman, right?
I actually don't know. I was listening, but I wasn't like,
okay.
I was listening, but
if I didn't say Gary Edelman, I meant to say Gary Edelman. I may have said Gary Gallagher by accident. Okay.
Gallagher, yeah.
Okay. Gary Gallagher. Gary Gallagher is another guy in the Civil War historian world who is knowledgeable. Gary Edelman. I'm sorry. Anyway, the whole thing with the video was showing the photographs of Alexander Gardner, where he photographed Edom. That video was up. It was the fastest growing video I ever had on the channel. And in the first 7 days had 700,000 views. And then because it showed dead bodies on day 7 or day 8, it got hit with an age restriction, and it killed the video. So that was 2 or 3 months ago. In the first week, got 700,000 views. And since then has got another 12,000.
So I know that you've had to deal with the Instagram, like the bots that flag things, type of stuff, but you've also dealt with actual people at YouTube. And so
yes,
what have you found that is making them be like telling people about the Holocaust or Hitler, the Nationalist Party. Like, what is making them be like, no, this can't be on YouTube?
So with I'm trying to think of other videos that I've had that have been age restricted. There was another Holocaust video that was a while back that got age restricted. The Antietam video.
Yeah.
The most recent one was from Dachau, and I put a picture on there that was taken from a distance of soldiers at the crematorium, and there's the pile of bodies outside. I actually went and blurred those out, and it still got hit with an age restriction, and that has killed that video. The responses that I've got back from human reviewers has been varied. I remember on the Holocaust video, the final word that they put out was that the platform needs to remain safe for children. So
okay, so this is coming from just a not history nerd type of thing, but I learned about the Holocaust freshman year of high school. So I was 14 when I learned about the Holocaust. I think I learned a little bit I learned about the Civil War when I was in middle school, and that's what got me also into history too, is because we played out the Civil War in school, and I played Ulysses Grant, and we went through like all the nitty gritty details of the Civil War and photos and all this other stuff. So it's kind of confusing on why they were saying like it needs to be safe for kids, because it's not a safety issue. It's history that happened to us, that not to us, but like it happened in history. But so how do you feel when somebody comes back as a history teacher saying that to you?
I really wish, and I don't want to be too harsh here. I do have some contacts there at YouTube, and they're great to talk to, and very responsive. They're not the ones who are making these decisions, though. They get kicked up to a content moderation team. I wish that I could sit down and talk with them and say, okay, what was your rationale on this one? I know that YouTube has their policies, and I think in a way, I think they're trying to be fair, to where they say, okay, well, this channel, here's this dude who showed bodies from the Civil War. Well, you might have another one that shows like some grotesque mangled body from like a car accident that happened last week. So rather than having to make that judgment call, what they just say is, all right, we're just cutting it across the board. And I imagine that being one of those content moderators is a tough job. I imagine that there's probably all kinds of just trash that they have to deal with, on a daily basis. So I empathize with that, but at the same time, and I don't want to, come across like I'm the only channel that's having problems. There are tons of history channels right now that are having gun channels are getting hit hard right now, and gaming channels as well from some of these new policies that have rolled out. But this most recent one with the Dachau video is the one that has kind of hit the hardest and has, I guess, got me a little bit more crossways than the others, because I and blurred out the bodies, which I felt terrible doing. I was like, man, this feels wrong that I'm doing this, that I'm like whitewashing this and censoring it, and it still got hit.
I do think it's kind of sad as like, sharing history type of stuff. Like, there are times that I have to blur out an image on like something I'm going to post because I know that I'm going to get flagged for it, or I'm going to get, I've been in an Instagram jail for like a month and a half. So like, it's, it's like one of those things, but I just think it's weird that people don't look at, it's just history, people sharing history. It's not a narrative. It's not anything like that. So it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of crazy. And I feel like you're YouTube channel's just been kind of like, you've been kind of like, oh, JD.
every, every, every single every single video in this series with Germany, I've had to file an appeal and
Yeah.
fight for every single video. And here's like one of the biggest gripes that I have. So I don't want anybody to misunderstand me and hear me say that, you know, people at YouTube are Holocaust deniers or anything like that. But by unplugging, you know, these videos and making it to where people can't see like what actually happened, they're inadvertently doing the work that a Holocaust denier would love to see, by burying this stuff and making it people can't see it. There are a couple videos, excuse me, that I looked up just doing my own research. You go to the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum's Facebook or YouTube page. There are age-restricted videos on there, which is insane to me. Of all channels, to hit the hit the Holocaust Museum, bury those videos. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a challenge, and I'm hoping that they can kind of work through things and maybe change some
I don't know
policies
if you've seen
there.
this documentary before, but it's called it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Hunting the Nazis, and I don't have like a clip of it or anything like that to pop up, but it is one documentary that so it's about the Mossad in the 70s hunting all of the Nazis.
Okay.
During, you know, that whole phase of repercussions and getting people to justice. And they showed Holocaust videos and stuff that I had never seen before. And I've gone on deep, dark rabbit holes coming to this, and it's crazy. You should definitely check it out. But it was just such an intense documentary that just made me think of that.
Well,
yeah.
Here's I understand wanting to protect, you know, people under 18. I just wish that there was some way to, I don't know how you would even do it, but like exempt content before 1950, or, you know, something that, or even earlier. Because again, like with the Antietam content, I actually sent them pictures of some of the signage at that time it was Gettysburg. I happened to be there, so there's pictures, you know, on these signs of what's the photo called, Harvest of Death. Okay, and there's just like playing everywhere, and I sent them pictures, and I said there are thousands upon thousands of school groups that come through this park every year, and this is what they see. The National Park Service has curriculum with these photos that they say is good for ages or for grades 4 and up. So I don't know. So I think that maybe out of some deep concerns that they have at YouTube, that they maybe didn't take into account the educational side of this. And a lot of us are
so actually
swept up
I do
in
have a question for you as a history teacher, and just looking back at my curriculum growing up. So I learned about the Civil War, and then I learned about the Revolutionary War, and then I went to World War II, and then I went to I guess kind of Vietnam. So I missed World War I missed Korea, I missed Desert Storm and everything in between. Is there a reason that that you're trying to fit so much into a curriculum, that is there a reason that we'd, you know, because Korea and World War I are both called the Forgotten War because they both are forgotten, pretty much. So is there maybe his curriculum thing that happens with that, or?
honestly, it
probably varies from
probably,
school to school, school district to school district. That just happened to be my school district.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I think that it
hmm
really depends on the teacher
yeah.
and the district that you're in. Uh, you know, probably see some
hmm
preferences maybe fall into that. I was at a conference one time, and this guy who he had been a history teacher for years, um, and was now like a author and speaker and everything like that. But he got up and said, he said, I know that some people are going to, think this is sacrilege. He's like, but I never really like talking about wars or anything like that. I like to talk more about like the social
Yeah.
justice movements in history and things like that. So he he would just kind of endure,
hmm
the wars and maybe touch on it a little bit, but he was more focused on other things. So yeah, that's probably a big part
So
of it. But
you have some exciting stuff coming out with Mr. Andy Biggio, the author of The Rifle. What is going on with that?
yes, yeah. Um, so yeah, he of course he's been on your on your channel here. Um, he reached out to me. Honestly, it hasn't been too long ago, and if anybody's unfamiliar with the rifle, Andy's a veteran of Gulf or
hmm
the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Came back, got this M1 Garand, and started basically going out and interviewing World War II veterans and having them sign this rifle. Another thing that he has done is, oh yeah, here we go. Hey, look at the
Well,
prominent
I
place
have
that the
he sent me
rifle
a
has
whole
on the
little goodie
bookshelf
package.
there.
I also have his he sent me one of his I mean, how awesome is this challenge coin? Look at this. It's
Oh, oh dang,
the
that's cool.
M1, like that is a pretty wicked challenge coin. So he got a little, you know,
That
signature and spot on my on my shelf to be proud
oh,
of.
that is
So,
awesome. Yeah, so another thing that he's been doing is taking World War II veterans back
mhm,
to Europe and going back to the places where they fought. So long story short, he said that he tries to film stuff with his phone, but obviously he's got a lot of things that he's doing there. So was kind of in need of a camera monkey and asked me if I'd be willing to go with him and document this trip. So there are four World War II veterans that we're going to be taking back to Europe. Um, one of them, maybe two, one for sure, helped liberate the
mhm.
Buchenwald complex, or one of the camps. So we're going to be going to Buchenwald, and yeah, we're going to be um, documenting this whole thing because I mean we don't have a whole
Yeah.
lot of time with these guys left. Most guys are the young ones
hmm
are in their mid 90s. So, and I've always, thought I wish that we could have had video
hmm
cameras during the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, that to get these guys memories. And yeah, we'll have a chance to do that
And I think if I'm
with
correct,
these guys.
this is like the second or third trip I think he's fundraised for to send veterans back to where they served in World War II. And what he does is absolutely amazing. He tells their stories, and these are the stories that, for example, my Opa fought in World War II. He was in the 4th Armored Division. But when I was a kid growing up, he talked about it all the time, I guess. I don't remember it. I guess I just wanted to go swimming in their swimming pool and like just hang out with Oma and Opa. And so I didn't hear these stories. And then
Yeah,
unfortunately by the time I got into history, he had already passed, and these stories are, a turning point for where the United States is today, and a lot of stuff that has come out from
yeah,
World War II. Not only divisions and all that stuff, but just, the society we have today. So it's just, it's great that you guys are
right.
going to be doing that. And, you know, taking them back, but also talking to them and sharing their stories. I think that's super amazing.
Yeah, it's something that I couldn't not do. I had to go. So yeah, I'm very excited to dive in and accompany these guys and have something that theoretically will be able to last forever. Will be around even I'm gone, to where somebody 50, 60 years down the line can
and
go back
things
and
that we
see
don't
this.
realize are super important too, like the veterans of Korea. Korea happened 5 years after the end of World War II. Like that was a really fast, catapult. And then Vietnam happened super fast. And I've met a few veterans, and I met Major General Patrick Brady. He's a Medal of Honor recipient for the Vietnam War. He was in the Dust-Off crew and the medevac. And when I met him, I was like, he was well into his like late 70s, but he wasn't looking that well at all. And I'm just like, people need to know your story and tell that. And it just, I don't know, just a thought that I had. So it just
yeah. So my grandpa, he was in Korea, and just it's probably been about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I thought that I had lost it, but I found an old mini DVD tape of him telling some stories from when he was in Korea. Now, I had the stories in my head, but my kids hadn't heard them, or at least from him. He passed away about 5 years ago, and man, it was like finding a piece of gold to have that. So yeah, and I've got a hard drive with a whole bunch of veteran interviews and people who were in the Hitler Youth and different things like that I'll do something with one of these days. But important to get these.
What did he do in Korea?
So my grandpa was in the 40th Infantry Division, and he was a combat engineer. So he went around, of course, some of building roads and airstrips and things like that. But the main thing that he did was do mine detection and disarming mines, which in Korea, tons of them. So he stayed pretty busy doing that.
Busy, they had the same combat engineers in Korea had the same thing, just like they did in World War II. I have a weird obsession with the 291st Combat Engineers. I don't know why, but I just do. And they did the same things, building roads, mine detection, blowing up bridges, and all that stuff. And that's like a pretty dangerous job because they have to go all the way in front of everybody and pretty much are just like, well, it is what it is. Let's just, go on about our ways. Well, we have a couple questions. Let's see.
Yeah, sure.
Have you read Patton and Rommel by Dennis Showalter?
No, I haven't read that one. I'll have to put that on my list. I'll have to put that on my list and buy it and put it in the stack of other books that
every history nerd, it's a whole stack.
Yeah. I finally told myself, it's like, I don't need to buy any more books until I read the ones I have. And then something else comes up and I'm like, I need to check that out.
And then I do the thing where I start to read a book and then I buy another book. So I'm like, I'm going to start reading this book. And then the other book gets like shelved for like another 4 years. Let's see, 1 second.
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Who is this?
You got a little glare going on here. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, just enjoying the chat. Thought I'd invade it.
Chat? Oh yeah, I know. Geez, just come up in here. So.
Don't blame me, JD. She asked me about it this morning.
I did ask him about it this morning. I thought it'd be a fun little like little thing because you guys are like my faves.
Hey,
so
yeah, good to see another restricted YouTube
Yeah, and I had
content
a
creator.
similar issue. I actually, and I was thinking about this as you guys were talking about that. The problem, another unintended consequence of that is then it starts to affect the kind of content people are willing to make, because you're thinking in the back of your mind,
Yep.
is this going to get me restricted? So maybe I'll do something else instead. And so then we avoid certain topics, we avoid certain things that should be talked about because we're afraid of that happening, because you don't want to put in all the work and then have nobody see it.
Yeah.
And the other day that it wasn't him, but he knows somebody who said that he's got all kinds of things that he would like to do on his channel with the Holocaust. He said, but I just won't do it because I know that it's a minefield.
So sad.
And
Yep.
I'll get my channel, I'll get the videos restricted and nobody will see it anyway. So he stays completely clear of the Holocaust.
That's
just for that reason.
that kind of just sucks all the way around, like having to be so restricted on what you post. I know that I do. I hyphenate words or use symbols or whatever just so I don't get like freaking dinged by Instagram or reported, because for some reason there is one person who was out to get me because I made a response to a very bad comment he said about me, and now he just has kept me in Instagram jail for a while.
Bad comments. I haven't had any of those lately.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys are so witty about your responses.
I learned from
people.
him. I learned it from him.
Oh my gosh, they are so entertaining.
JD's the one that taught me how to just let those people show the world who they are and give them a little boost every so often.
You're like, just keep talking about your knowledge about everything. We'll let it be here.
It's one of the pastimes is to just kind of bait those people and get them to comment more.
Yeah.
And I'll say, hey, what do you mean by that? Or I'll say something completely stupid in response that'll get them all spun up. And what they don't know is the more that they comment, the more that they're feeding into the algorithm and helping.
That's what's had me laughing. I had this
video
I just did responding to the guy that was doing all the nonsense about the Lost Cause. And he's got like hundreds and hundreds of his followers coming to my channel and leaving comments. And I'm like, keep doing it.
I'm fine with it. That's crazy. Chris, how was Bastogne?
It was awesome. I want to know when you two are going to join us for one of these.
I know. I'm sorry. I was supposed to be there, but I just moved to my new place, and then I'm also traveling for work. So it's just so much in I'm leaving on Thursday, but it was just so much in such a small amount of time. Well, I would be coming back from Bastogne and then going straight to my work trip, and then moving.
Probably obviously the best part I think for us was first of all, it was the first time. So Shane Taylor, who played Doc Rowe in Band of Brothers, and then Lucy, I can't remember her last name, but Lucy played Renee, the nurse, Renee Lemaire. They had not seen each other since they filmed Band of Brothers.
And
we were
years.
there in the parking lot when they reunited for the first time. And then we got to go to Renee's gravesite, which Lucy had never been to. And so that was really, really cool because they laid a wreath at her gravesite, and because she was killed, on Christmas Eve. And Doc, the real life Doc and Lucy and Renee never met each other in real life. But they wanted to include her story, so they wrote her into his story. She was actually working at a 10th Armored Division hospital is where she was. But it was a very true story of her. And so it was really cool to be a part of that. It was cool to be in the foxholes in the Bois Jacques as the sun came up. And so that, there was a lot of neat experience. And Reg Johns, who is just this phenomenal historian and tour guide when it comes to the Battle of the Bulge. So just great stuff.
Yeah, I would. Oh, go ahead, JD.
You said that about the lady who played the nurse had never been there before?
No.
That's something that is interesting to me about a lot of those actors and people that were involved in the production is they never went. I got a message from I'm going to say his last name wrong. John
so
Orloff.
Nice. He's so nice. Him
He's
and
one
his
of the
wife
right.
are so awesome.
He reached out to me and had a just really kind words about the episode that I did at Breakcourt Manor, and he said,
was
funny story, I've never been there. and he was the writer for the episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, if I was the writer for that episode, I would have had a plane ticket within 2 days of finding out that I was.
And they were in England for the filming. They were just across the channel. It wasn't that far away.
So when I went to the Band of Brothers Symposium in August, I went to a panel where John was on the casting table and talking about everything, and the casting directors and everything. And you need to remember, this was back in like 1998. They didn't have like the internet and like all this other stuff. So like the way they explained everything about their research and how they did everything. I mean, for being back, I remember back when the internet wasn't a thing, like, but it was very interesting how much research actually went into it. But yeah, I guess it was just one of those things.
Yeah, and like you were saying, JD, because same thing when we did the Netherlands tour for the We Happy Few thing, being with Mark Lawrence, who played Dukeman, and he had never been there. We're walking up to the spot where Dukeman died at the crossroads. And I said, "You've been here before, right?" And he said, "No, this is my first time." I'm like, "What is that?" And that's actually become one of my best performing videos I've ever had, was just that 5-minute clip of him walking up to that site. And yeah, all of those folks that I've gotten to know, just fantastic. And I know that Sarah, you've met a bunch of them too, and then of course Freddie. But Freddie's a great guy to hang out with too. I was sad he wasn't on the newest one.
Yeah, it was a little too cold. No, but I mean, if you think about it though, I think it's really fantastic that now the actors can actually go back, and especially ones who were killed in action during World War II, they can actually now go back and see the people they portrayed and meet their family and stuff like that. I think that's really actually pretty amazing. So
yeah, we were on the last tour in Bastogne in November, and one of the guys that was with us was Phil McKee, who played Colonel Strayer. Mm-hmm. And while we were on the bus, Reg calls up Colonel Strayer's son, the real life Colonel Strayer's son. Mm-hmm. And he's like talking to us on the bus while we're doing this. And, just all of those connections that these guys have made, that they're like lifelong friends with these families of these men that they portrayed. And the ones I've met, they really are even 20 years later, super passionate about making sure that they honor not only the guys from Band of Brothers, but all of the veterans. And I'll add to what Sarah said, JD, I'm really looking forward to what you're going to be doing with these guys when you go over to Europe. I can't wait to see that. Now,
I just hope I don't mess
JD,
it up.
you
if there's
will not
anybody
mess it
who
up.
can be trusted to do this right,
it's you. Exactly. It's Chris, you too, but JD too. You guys both are just like,
hey, everything I learned, I copied from him. So
I told you, JD, you're like the OG.
And
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love this. No, I think that'd be fun. So you guys, met up and did, all that World War I stuff at Antietam, right?
Civil War at Antietam, yeah.
Civil War. Sorry, I didn't mean World War I. Civil War at Antietam. So, is there a plan in the future for you guys to meet up again?
I heard him talking about the vacuum cleaner museum. Are you talking about the one here in Northeast Ohio?
Wait, you have a vacuum
in North Canton
museum too?
Well, the high school there is called North Canton Hoover. It's named after the Hoover people. And yeah, they have a vacuum cleaner museum there. And of course, that's also where William McKinley's buried. And I know you've got to get to, we've got lots of presidents in Ohio. So, but
yeah, I'm actually, I just got word back today. After I get done with this whole South Germany stuff, anyway, long story short, I'm getting ready to go to the most well-known popular president of all time. I'm going to be going to his home and grave. James
Pennsylvania.
Yep.
While you're at it, you should zip over to Philadelphia. Is real close there, because there's a cemetery. I forget the name of it, but the one where George Meade is buried is also buried there is John C.
Oh,
Pemberton,
really?
who was the Confederate who defended Vicksburg. And there's a bunch of others too, because Pemberton was also from Pennsylvania. But there's a bunch of real famous Civil War folks buried in that same cemetery there, and it's not far from Lancaster at all. And you haven't been to Winter's grave yet either, have you? Oh, yeah, because that's real close to Lancaster. It's right outside of Lancaster in Ephrata.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Hershey, close to Hershey or something,
up further toward Harrisburg, but Ephrata's in Lancaster County where he's buried, so it's real close to Lancaster. Okay. But yeah, World War I is something I know JD's got to cover. I can't wait to see how he does it. And if I catch word that he's going over to like the Somme or Verdun or something, you may see me follow him there.
Hop on a plane and take off.
Hey, well,
I need to get back there. So, I mean, you could spend a lifetime. You could dedicate your entire channel to telling those stories from those Western Front battlefields and never begin to tell those stories. Yeah. There's so much there.
And all the ghosts that you guys see. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. I had to. I'm sorry. I might tick off a lot of people saying that, but
I get those questions all the time too. Like, people are shocked when I tell them that I've never had an experience like that.
Yeah, I mean, it just, if people want to believe it, they can. That's their own history experience.
I think JD is a little more militant about that than I am.
I just love to throw that little wrench in there every once in a while. Because I know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, I'm. One of the places that I'm going to be going is Vimy Ridge. So yeah, I want to hit Vimy Ridge and probably Bellawood and then
I have these
spend some time at
really
Verdun
ambitious
as
plans, and it would involve going. Vimy Ridge is like the big one that I haven't been to yet on the Western Front, but they have, it's all well documented. All 80 of the aerial victories that the Red Baron had, the 80 planes that he shot down, like they have the names of every guy, the type of plane, the date, where it happened. I have this really ambitious plan to go and do all 80 stories from the Western Front, because a lot of those guys are buried there. But it'll be like a whole week just to do that. So I don't know if it'll really happen or not, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm traveling
cool.
this week, and I'm hopefully going to the Sixth Floor Museum at Dealey Plaza.
That's cool.
It's a work trip, so I got to see if I can actually like fit things in.
It won't take
without being at
you
work,
long.
But...
It's a tiny area.
Yeah, I know. I Googled.
You'll be surprised when you see it. I was shocked. Have you been there, JD? I was shocked at how small it was, and I was really unimpressed by the shot that Oswald took. Like, you go up there and you're like, I could have made this shot. Like, it's not that far. It's really, it doesn't look like it does on TV. Everything, and where Zapruder was standing, you're like, oh my gosh, he was really close to where that happened. It's all much closer together.
It does look like it's super far away whenever you see it
in
archive
video,
footage
it looks that way.
or videos or anything like that. Oh, I'm so interested. But
and there's an X. There's an X on the road right where Kennedy was hit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take. I met John Bassilone's granddaughter Jacqueline at the Band of Brothers Symposium in August, and I'm forcing her to go do history stuff with me. So. We'll see how fun that will be, but yeah, no, that's interesting. It just the pictures of the museum look so much bigger than what I thought. Well,
and you can't stand in the actual window, but the museum is like the floor above it. So you can actually like stand in the window that's directly above that one and kind of see the view.
That's interesting. Huh, well, good to know. So awesome. So Chris, what's on before you hop off, what's coming up for you?
That's a great question. I'm still working on that for sure. Domestically, Little Bighorn, absolutely gonna happen. I want to get to Shiloh and do a multi-part series from the Shiloh battlefield, which is one of my favorite battlefields to go to. Beyond that, it's probably whatever I can decide I want to go back and do in Europe next. But my 10-year-old son and I are both learning German, and we very much would like to go to Berlin and Leipzig and a few places in East Germany. So we'll see. But I'd very much like to spend more than a couple hours in Germany. And not get pulled over by the police would be a bonus too. So
that would be a bonus.
All right, I'm gonna hop off and let you guys finish your chat. So I'll be watching. You guys take care.
Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Hey, good.
Well, that was fun. You guys are like two of my favorites.
Yeah,
So it's so exciting to have you guys both on.
I just finished listening to his latest podcast today too. If people don't know it, his podcast
phenomenal.
is outstanding.
He's just I know he's probably a little irritated with me because like Sander from Sander VK History keeps sending me videos of Chris doing his filming, and I keep putting sports commentating in the reels because it's so perfect, and I'm just that person. Chris is like, no, it's fine. And I'm like, are you sure it's fine? Because this is really actually hilarious. And he was like, you're going to have to get JD one time. I was like, we'll see.
That's why I
exactly.
typically travel by myself.
So what are we expecting from you coming up here?
This year, I don't know if everything that I want to happen is going to happen, but after this Germany series wraps up, which it's probably going to take us through March, I'm just going to have a bunch of random stuff. Honestly, I want to hit some, presidential graves. I have a goal of visiting every grave of presidents, and I haven't been to one in a while. So I'm going to hit a few more of those, and maybe just a few little obscure spots here in the United States as far as like, Civil War content and, whatever. I have plans in the summer of going to Greece and doing some ancient history type stuff. Maybe go to like Thermopylae and also Corinth. So there'll be kind of a mix of ancient history and biblical history and, some different things like that. And then back to France to do some stuff there. I'm wanting to link up, like I said, with Paul Woodage and kind of talk more about the Battle of Normandy, but get off of the beach and get more inland. Talk about cutting the peninsula and everything that went on there. A lot of the stories that people just don't know. I would like to kind of highlight those. And then I don't want to exactly say, well, there might be another trip with Andrew Biggio in the summer too. But I don't want to say too much about it because I don't know all the details yet, and I don't know if he wants to share them. And then I want to get back out to the Pacific.
Yeah. That was an amazing series. Seeing the tank in the water and like that was so intense. That was so
I loved
crazy to see. Yeah. Like especially close up and everything. So yeah.
And the Pacific, you don't see a whole lot of people going out there and shooting content, mainly because most of the places are so stinking hard to get to. There a lot of
restrictions too, like on Iwo Jima and Okinawa.
Okinawa, there's Iwo Jima. Is highly restricted. I would love to go there and just spend a week, but you can
Iwo only go there if you had family who served there or something, or they have certain restrictions and parameters, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's with a tour. There are tour groups that have access. They basically go there on the anniversary. They're there for a little bit and then you're gone. And that's just, I mean, it'd be cool to do, but it doesn't